Welcome to this tour of Vitamin R4. After installing and launching the program, Vitamin R lives under its icon in the menu bar. Clicking the icon will show and hide the program. The first thing you will see is the profile settings page. This allows you to create your own personalized initial configuration. Our first choice is about whether we want to implement a traditional Pomodoro timeboxing technique or the more flexible Vitamin R technique. Pomodoro technique is probably the best known timeboxing technique and was developed in Italy in the late 1980s. It gets its name from the tomato-shaped food timer that its author used to time himself. The Pomodoro technique advocates working in 25-minute chunks. Each such chunk is called a Pomodoro. At the end of every Pomodoro, you take a 5-minute break, and after every fourth Pomodoro, you take a longer 25 to 30-minute break. The Vitamin R timeboxing technique is inspired by the Pomodoro technique, but it allows for much greater flexibility in choosing durations and implementing your own workflow. In Vitamin R, we use the term time slice rather than Pomodoro. The Vitamin R approach is probably better suited for most people, but if you want to try the proper Pomodoro technique, go ahead and select it in the profile. The next choice is about what kind of user interface you prefer. New in version 4 is the very compact interface style, which is well suited for those who prefer a minimalist look and feel. The downside is that you are likely to miss out on a lot of useful features that are automatically hidden away in this mode. That's why there is a special Use a more verbose interface at the beginning style that shows most user interface elements on screen and makes it easier to learn what the tool can do. This is the opposite approach. Rather than carefully adding user interface elements that you can't do without, you need to hide all the ones you don't need. The middle style, Prefer a balanced interface, tries to make some reasonable trade-offs between either extreme. As the very compact user interface style is new in version 4, we will use it for this tour. During a time slice, Vitamin R will periodically pop up a reminder to stay focused. By default, this uses the ticking sound known from the Pomodoro kitchen timer. Optionally, you can also get voice notifications.
Only 5 minutes left.
This may be a little much for many people, but if you find it hard to stay focused or have an attention deficit disorder, this can be invaluable. Of course, you can also just have visual-only notifications. For this tour, we will leave this on some sounds, but don't be afraid to experiment. Our final choice is about continuous sounds. In the Pomodoro method, the continuous ticking of the food timer is a constant reminder to stay focused, and you can imitate this effect with this setting. If you are working in a noisy environment and you wear headphones, it can be useful to blank out the chat of your coworkers with white, or in this case, pink noise. Later in this tour, we will see that Vitamin R has many blanking sounds and soundscapes to choose from. But for this demo, we won't use any continuous sounds. Okay, so let's get started. It is now time to set up our first time slice. Since we are demonstrating Vitamin R4's new very compact user interface style, it is useful here to show that you can still access most of the hidden features via the new keyboard-driven command window. Holding down the Control key and pressing the R key brings up the command window. This global keyboard shortcut works from any application, including from within Vitamin R, and always brings up the command window, ready for you to select a command with the keyboard. Looking at the available actions, you can see that the default action, Start Time Slice, is the same as the default button. You can also see the keyboard shortcut Command Return that you can use to take this default action. Moving down one item with the arrow keys, you can see the Start Time Break command that is not available in the minimal use interface. Starting with time break is a good psychological trick to overcome a bad case of procrastination. Just give yourself a 10-minute break before starting, and within 10 minutes you will have tricked yourself into getting started anyway. Moving down to Actions and using the right arrow key to drill down into the Actions folder, you can see that we have tucked away less frequently used actions into this folder. We can use the left arrow key to get us back out of the folder. The Global Options folder contains 3 important settings that are not specific to one particular screen. As you can see on the top, the Keep Window Compact option is selected. Below that is an option to run Vitamin R4 as a dockless application. Dockless applications don't appear in the Dock or the Command Tab application list, and they don't have a menu bar. Note that you can still use the command window to access menu commands when you run Vitamin R as a dockless application. As we will discover soon, we are also using soft rather than hard breaks. This means that when the timer elapses, it will not just pop Vitamin R to the front, but you will get a visual and audible warning that you have reached the end of your time slice, and you then have 30 seconds to finish off what you were doing. The break starts as soon as you stop using the keyboard and mouse. With the hard break option, the break starts immediately and Vitamin R pops to the front and steals the focus. If you run in this mode, you need to heed the warnings that your time is about to stop and finish off whatever you are doing before the time runs out. Next, we have a Help section with access to the PDF user manual that has a lot of background information about the Vitamin R method and references to useful productivity books. Next is the access to the in-app help system. Pressing the return key opens the help pad. As we are in the Keep Window Compact mode, we do not have a lot of vertical space, but we can resize the window to see more information. There's a lot of invaluable information in those pages that will help you become a Vitamin R wizard in no time. So it's well worth reading as you get more into the program. We can use the Command 0 keyboard shortcut to close the pad again. The navigation folder allows us to zip around the interface, focusing the right input fields, so that we never have to take our hands off the keyboard. Note that all the frequently used fields also have a keyboard shortcut that allows us to get straight to them without having to go for the command window. In the very compact interface profile, this field is hidden by default. It allows you to tag the entries for your time slices in the logbook. Later on, you can get statistics specifically for a single tag or a combination of tags. I use tags to keep track of my projects, so Vitamin R is already pre-filled. You can also keep track of which activities you spent most time on. So during development, I would have added a development tag, but now I'm recording a video, so I'll add video. Back in the command window, we have the state-specific options, where you can configure what individual screens look like. I highly recommend digging into those options, because they allow you to get the screen exactly right for you. We'll have a brief look in the objective text field options. Here we can make the objective text field larger or smaller according to our tastes, and we can hide the tag editor again. The final folder is the Tools folder, which allows access to the logs, the sidebar, various sound settings, and the statistics pad. The logs folder has actions for manually adding a log entry and for exporting the log as a comma-separated values file. This type of file is suitable for import into a database or a spreadsheet application like Microsoft Excel. You can also force an update of the logs and reveal the log files in the Finder. The log files can be manually edited should you wish to do so, but you can also edit them directly from within the logbook interface. In the sidebar folder, we find the Command 0 shortcut that we just used to close the Help pad. And we can also toggle the other pads on and off. The Now, Later, and Scratch pads allow you to quickly jot down what you are doing right now, what you don't want to forget to do later, or just random bits of background information that might come in handy during your task. As you can see, there are predefined global shortcuts for bringing up these pads from any application. So for instance, holding down the Command and Option key and pressing the N key will instantly bring up the Now pad. You will be presented with a full rich text editor. Each pad is pre-filled with a little explanation of its purpose, and if you scroll down a bit, you will see some details about the fast type syntax. This is a special syntax that allows you to more quickly create bullet lists, action items, checklists, etc. Clicking on the Help button leads to a fuller explanation in the built-in Help viewer. Command Option L gets you to the Later pad, and Command Option P to the Scratch pad. Note that the pads are color-coded, so you always know which pad you are currently on. This also seems like a good moment to show you how to select the different pads with the mouse. Note the mini icons on the top of the window bar. Left to right, these are the Now pad, the Later pad, the Scratch pad, the Logbook, the Statistics pad, and finally the Help pad. Clicking on the icon of the currently open pad is a handy shortcut for closing the sidebar. I think we have now reached the point where navigating through the command window with the cursor keys is starting to become a little tedious, so I'll show you a quicker way. I want to go back to the Tools menu to show you the rest of the available commands. So I simply bring up the command window with Ctrl R and I start typing Tools until it appears. We are now in the Sounds folder, where we can mute or unmute all sounds, and start and stop the noise machine component. The final section is the Statistics folder, where we can examine the various statistics that vitamin R can produce from the logs. So let's have a quick look at the day of the week statistic. Once you have used vitamin R4 for a while, it will have gathered sufficient data in its logs to present you with useful statistics about which days of the week you can concentrate best and which days you are most distracted. Same goes for the hour of the day statistic. These statistics can be a real help in working out how to best arrange your time. Perhaps you can concentrate best in the mornings and early in the week, but your ability to focus diminishes in the early afternoon. If so, just arrange your work so you start with the hardest tasks and keep less demanding tasks for after lunch. Let's get back to setting up our first time slice. We need to decide on two things: the objective for our time slice and its duration. Writing down an objective for each and every time slice may feel like a waste of time. Surely you know what you're going to do, right? As it happens, there's a lot of value in taking a few moments, or even a few minutes, in coming up with a specific reachable objective. When your objective is very vague, say write report, you will find that you feel quite a lot of resistance to getting started. This is because of the uncertainty. You know that you should be doing something, but you are not sure what that something actually entails, so you procrastinate. Vague goals also tend to be open-ended and have no clearly defined limits. This makes it difficult to gauge whether you have actually succeeded or failed at the end of your time slice. Most often you just feel overwhelmed by the task. You feel that you have accomplished nothing and that you are failing miserably, which is of course demotivating and makes you even more reluctant to get started on the next time slice. All this is why vitamin R asks you to take the time to write a one-sentence description of your objective for the next time slice, and to be as specific as possible and clearly set the limits of what you are going to do. So instead of write report, we will take a moment to think about what the most useful first step could be. So if we adopt a mindset of trying to reduce vagueness and create more clarity, what would our logical first step be? Well, it's a document. And as we have learned in school, the first thing is to know your audience. So we should probably start by clarifying who the audience of our report should be and what they might want to gain from reading our report. So let's go with that. Write a memo to yourself clarifying who you are writing this report for and what the people reading it will want to get out of it. That is a much better objective. It is specific in what exactly we should do, so we can start doing it as soon as we start our time slice. It is also something that we can probably achieve in, say, a 20-minute session. If not, we can always add another 20-minute session later. It is also motivational because it clearly gets us closer to finishing this report, and we may even hope that the report's quality will benefit from being focused on the right audience and the right content. Next question is, how long should a session be? This is more of an art than a science, and it will depend a lot on the kind of work that you're doing, your personal preferences, circumstances, and your own mental state. In general, the Pomodoro technique's recommendation of 20 to 25 minutes is a good starting point. Not so short that you can't really get a reasonable amount of work done. Not so long that you run out of steam or become too exhausted too quickly. Your mileage may obviously vary, but in general, don't be too afraid of going under the magical 20 minutes mark. There are some special cases where very short and very long time slices can be appropriate. If you feel a lot of resistance to getting started on a task, just create a breaking the ice task, like the memo about the audience, just to get started. It is fine to do this for just 5 minutes. That way you can trick yourself into getting started, and once you've made a start, everything becomes so much easier. These initial 5 minutes might be the most productive of the entire day. Conversely, there are just tasks that don't require a huge amount of concentration, but where you just have to grind your teeth and get through it. Doing so in 30-minute chunks can be more manageable, but it can also work in 45-minute sessions if you prefer. For our memo writing task, 20 minutes seem just fine. But because this is a demo, I'll make it a shorter 10-minute task. There's a useful keyboard shortcut for those who do not want to muck around with a slider. Hold Command and press the D for duration key. You can use the up and down arrow keys to adjust the value, or just type it. Clicking on Start Time Slice, and just hitting Command Return will start the time slice. As you can see, vitamin R gets out of your way so you can get working. You can see the time elapsing in the menu bar. Ctrl R will reveal vitamin R in the time slice running state. In our very compact interface state, we don't get much information on this screen. I personally always want to know when the time slice is actually going to stop, so I'm going to add that information to the screen. Clicking on the cogwheel icon in the duration section reveals a bunch of optional interface elements. I'm just going to add duration and end date. That's better. Options affecting the entire screen are available under the slider icon next to the main title. The continuous sound control allows us to choose amongst a variety of different sounds to be played during a time slice. Some of those sounds are not shipped with vitamin R directly, but you can download the Noise Machine app to get access to them. More information is available in the help section. Let's get rid of those options. We can at any moment pause or abort the time slice. Before we use the magic of video recording to fast forward through the time slice, I'm just going to show the remaining time as well. Note the ticking sounds in the background that are designed to get us back on track. We are now coming up to our first break, and we can talk a little bit about the difference between the soft break and the hard break options. Personally, I don't like being interrupted mid-sentence, so I've made soft breaks the default option. A soft break starts as soon as the clock hits 0, but it does not steal the focus. Instead, it gives an audible signal that it's time to finish off whatever you're doing, and it gives you 30 seconds to do so. In those 30 seconds, you can extend the time slice by clicking on the corresponding button in the user interface, by bringing up the command window, or by right-clicking on the menu bar icon. You can then end the time slice as soon as you're finished, or the same procedure restarts a second time. Personally, I tend to start with a 12 to 15 minute time slice, and then extend multiple times until I'm finished. This is not in keeping with the strictures of the Pomodoro method, but I find it much easier to get started on a 12-minute time slice than a much longer 20-minute one. Then when I'm in the middle of the task, I find it hard to just stop before having achieved my goal, and extending once or twice by 5 minutes while I'm really trying to get finished with focus feels much better. Better yet, once I've stopped, I feel like I've achieved more and I've worked harder than I was intending to, all the while still having worked the exact same 20 to 25 minutes. Congratulations! We have successfully finished our first time slice. The next step is to log how it went. Again, this can seem like a waste of time, but logging your progress has a lot of advantages. First, it can serve as a mini post-mortem, an opportunity to reflect on what you have just done. Were you able to concentrate for the entire duration? Was your focus good, or were you highly focused? Do you experience flow, or were you quite distracted? Are you feeling exhausted after the effort? Do you think you can keep up this pace throughout the entire day? If not, perhaps the time slice duration you chose was a little too long, and you could benefit from making it shorter, at least today, at least until you feel more energetic. Logging your time slice also shows you what you have achieved, and that itself can be very motivational. Comparing today's performance to yesterday's or last week's can help you leverage your competitive instincts to motivate you to do more and to do better. The log also gives you insights into your personal productivity through the statistics feature. I'm just going to leave the focus on my focus was good, but I'm going to uncheck the log as completed checkbox, as I haven't actually done any work on that report. Now we have reached a point where we need to prepare for a timed break. Vitamin R actually supports two kinds of breaks: timed breaks and so-called informal breaks with no time limit. When you're finished for the day, when you're going for lunch, or when you're going away from your computer for a long period, you might not want to put a time on your break at all. As you can see, you also have the option of going straight to the next time slice. Generally speaking, I would recommend pretty much always taking a time break away from your computer. A time break gives you time to recover from your effort and allows you to switch from a very narrowly focused mode into a more strategic one. It is possible to get lost in your task without ever asking yourself whether you are doing the right thing in the right way. Just stepping away from your computer, even for only a few minutes, can help you clear your mind and let you gain some distance from your work. Taking regular rest and recovery breaks also allows you to stay fresh and concentrated for longer and thus keep a higher sustained pace than if you have no breaks or too few breaks. You should never feel guilty about taking breaks. They serve a function. Mental performance is not so different from sports performance. You train hard, but it is in the recovery period where your body gets a chance to repair itself and improve your fitness. The Pomodoro technique advocates taking a 5-minute break after each Pomodoro. Then on every fourth Pomodoro, you take a longer 20 to 30-minute break. These values are a good starting point. Many people swear by this type of very regimented approach because they say that it trains them to operate in this fashion and that it becomes second nature after a while. Vitamin R does support this type of break regimen. Just click on the swap icon to get a Pomodoro style control. The radio button shows that we are on the first break, that we will have a 5-minute break. I'm personally less inclined to strictly regulate myself in this manner, and for health reasons I feel strongly about getting up and going away from the computer for a short while. I'm lucky that I mostly work from home, so I'd usually go for a longer break of 7 to 10 minutes. Time enough to get a coffee, empty the dishwasher, do some food preparation, etc. I can then come back to the computer and my task refreshed and ready to fully engage again. Something that you might find useful, especially if you take longer breaks, is to prime your subconscious by writing a first draft of your next objective before going on your break. If you want to try this, you can activate the Show Objective for the next time slice user interface element and just jot down a quick first draft of your next objective before leaving your desk. Another useful option is the lock screen option. When this is ticked, as soon as the break starts, the entire screen will be locked for the duration. This is useful if you don't trust yourself to actually step away from your computer. Without this option being ticked, Vitamin R will just hide itself away under its icon and display a countdown next to it. With the lock screen mode active, the entire screen is taken over by the countdown. Note that you can still break out of this mode every few seconds when the end break button appears. After the break is over, we are back to the defined time slice screen and ready for our next time slice. Before ending this tour, I will finish off by giving you a few quick pointers to what else is available. First off, you can run Vitamin R in a dockless mode. In this mode, the application will not appear in the command tab list or the dock, and it won't have a menu. Many people prefer this mode because it cuts down on the clutter for an application that you have constantly running. The Preferences menu item gives access to a huge array of options, and is well worth investigating these to further refine your setup. You can see the global keyboard shortcuts in the first section. You will also find a handy Read Objective Aloud shortcut that helps if you have completely forgotten what you were supposed to be doing or need reminding. The Notifications section has a myriad of options on when and how you want to be reminded to stay on focus. You can even customize spoken and visual messages with a variety of tags. You can play notifications a certain number of minutes before the end of the time slice. Customize how the soft breaks work. Vitamin R has its own notification system that presents small dark message windows in the middle of the screen, but you can also use the normal macOS notification system if you prefer. There are also additional sound settings, etc. In the Now and Later board settings, you can customize many features of the editor, colors, etc. Most workflow options can be customized from the main screen, using the Equalizer pull-down button, but the most important ones are also available in this section. For those of you who use Cultured Code's Things or Omni Group's OmniFocus to-do list managers, There are direct integrations for those tools. You can drag and drop tasks straight from your to-do list manager into the objective field, and Vitamin R will import the task, complete with its tags and durations. It will also create a hyperlink linking the logbook entry to the corresponding task in the to-do list manager. Once completed, it will mark the task as completed in your to-do list manager. There's also an older integration for the hit list. In the direct version of Vitamin R4 that you can download from our website, there is some very basic Apple scripting support. But this is mostly just for connecting with third-party notification services or to play or pause music. This integration is not present in the Mac App Store version. There are also some miscellaneous options in the corresponding tab. The window compactness has 3 modes. You can always leave the window untouched, you can always keep it as compact as possible, or you can have a hybrid option. As long as the sidebar is closed, the window will always be kept as compact as possible, but when the pad is open, the window will stay the size that you gave it. Finally, there's an option to use Dropbox to sync your log files from multiple Macs. All you need to do to activate this is to click the checkbox on all your installations. Of course, you do need a Dropbox account for this to work. Full details are available behind the Help button. For book references and an in-depth discussion of timeboxing, the logic behind particular design decisions, tips on how to set appropriate objectives, balancing attention and time, single tasking and multitasking, working with interruptions and distractions, the so-called R and L modes of the brain, priming, breadcrumbs, and the joy of productivity statistics, have a look at the Vitamin R user guide. More information about Vitamin R's technical aspects, as well as some information about the why of the features, can be found in the help system. I hope that you have enjoyed this tour and will give Vitamin R4 a go. Even if you decide that Vitamin R is not for you, I hope that you will have found something useful that you can blend into your own work routines and make them more productive and less stressful.